Check 1 2. Check 1 2. Testing 1 2 3. Testing 1 2 3. Anybody there? Hello? Hello? Tap 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 tap. Tap 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 tap. Is this thing working? Goodness gracious. Hello? Hello? Check 1 2 3. Sounds good. Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Mike. All right, let's see who we've got here. We've got Tom S. That's me. Dave, Kenny, Gilliam, Tommy, Bill, Bruce, Ken, Marie, Frank, Jesper, Merle, Mike, Tess, Dan, Kyle, Alfredo, Scott, Prashana, Amnon, Andrew, Todd, Richard, Chris, Jan, Rudy, Dano, Jesper, and Giles. Did I say Jesper twice? My bad. All right, very good, very good. Nope, not working. Thanks, Amnon. Gee whiz. It's like, no, I can't hear you. Then how do you know what I said? Welcome, you guys. All right, now if you're watching on Facebook or, oh, let's get the Periscope feed going. If you're watching on Facebook or Twitter or YouTube directly or Periscope, then you will want to, hang on a second while I get this. Yeah, there we go, there we go, there we go, there we go. Let's get that going, see if that'll stream. You'll want to come on over to easternshorebroadcasting.com because that's where the fun is. That's where the watch live is, and that's where the chat room is, because we're not going to be following chat on Facebook, YouTube. I think YouTube chat is disabled, but we won't be following it on Facebook or Periscope or Twitter. So come on over and join us at easternshorebroadcasting.com. And you know, this chat room is just going crazy. That's what happens when they get to meet each other. A lot of you were at NAB, and it was such a delight to meet you and hang out. And I've got some pictures. I've got pictures from the vMix Hangout. So y'all better behave, or I'll show the ones you don't want me to show. Oh my goodness, 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 goodness. Good to see me back from NAB Safe and Sound. You know, it's funny. Have we got just a few minutes here? Yeah, I got my lemonade. I don't think I made it to 3 booths the whole time at NAB. Isn't that terrible? I just got so focused in on vMix, and then by the end of the day was just bushed. And although still had time to go out and have a good meal with folks. And a hat tip to RJ Murdoch. RJ and I palled around a bunch and had some meals together. And Tim Vandenberg with vMix. He and I went out one night. And then, of course, the vMix meetup, which was the best. That was a ton of fun. Let's see. How are we doing on time? We got about 10 minutes left. Chris's ticket didn't turn up. Uh-oh. Sorry to hear that. But you made it back safely. That's the important part. Let's see. Anybody else just joining us? Looking down the list again here. Ba-dum-bum-bum-bum. Richard, did I already mention Richard? Okay. I forgot that down on the list. Yep. I've got a bunch of stuff. I don't want to talk about any of it because, yeah, this is the pre-show. Where's my pre-show graphic? Pre-show. Where is the pre-show? Pre-show. Is this the pre-show? Let's see what happens if I go live. Does it start that ticker? Yeah, it does. So let's stop the ticker. But this is the pre-show, and how do we get that lower third on there? That's not supposed to be there. Lower thirds. That's on the graphic tab. Yep, there it is. Did I just put it on there? Oh, it's working. Oh, good. Okay, great. Very good. Very good. So yeah, this is pre-show. Tess is here, so we can start. Well, we're really fortunate to have Tess and Marie here, and Philomena was going to be watching in with Tim. So if you guys are watching, please join the chat. And if you want to join the chat, come on over to easternshorebroadcasting.com, right down there at the bottom, and that way you can see the chat too. All right, Mike says we got about a 9-second delay. Okay, that's great. Very great. And by the way, rumors from April 1st that Martin Sinclair was no longer the CEO of vMix were just an April Fool's joke. If you didn't already get that, that's the scoop on that one. And rumors that some people didn't make it back from Las Vegas are probably true. Oh, goodness. I'll tell you who we missed, Bruce. We missed Bruce Richardson at the vMix meetup because we had a good old time. And Bruce, that would have been it was a really interesting crowd, a real mixed crowd of personalities and geographies and backgrounds. Just really great to get that. Prashana says we all idiots didn't get that April 1st one. Yeah, well, we'll get you next time, Bruce. That's okay. I'm sure you had some really good things going on. Bruce was recognized again for one of the top dealers for what's that? Oh, TriCaster, for TriCaster in Canada. Well done, Bruce. And Merle said no one called him for bail money. That's good. That's good. Yeah, you should have met Scott. Scott is quite a character. You guys would have gotten along beautifully, I think. Rudy, was it tiring? You know, it was in some ways, but it was really energizing in other ways. I mean, I love hanging out with people, and one of the top subjects on my list to talk about is live streaming. And so, you know, here I got to hang out with people all day and talk about live streaming all day and talk about vMix all day. Even got to wear an official vMix shirt. Actually, I got a fresh shirt every day, and got to hang out with Martin and Beverly, his sister, and Tim, and of course Seth. Tried to get Beverly on the show last Wednesday, but she was just not going. She was just not going to do it. Amnon wants to know if anybody's got a 20,000 lumen light on their blue or green screen. Goodness gracious. And Prashana wants to know, is anybody using Blend? But it was a great show. I really commend it to you to do at least once. You know, go ahead and save up a few bucks if you can, and try to get out to Las Vegas for NAB. Dave was out there for a day, and I think Dave would agree that you really need more than a day. I mean, you need the whole week. I understand that, but you need at least 2 days to get through through all the live streaming stuff. That doesn't even talk about the other broadcasting stuff. So Jens writes his titles by hand. I love that. I love that. That's true. I like that. The very first titles I did with my very first broadcast, I wrote on a clipboard and put them up in front of the camera so people could see them. It was pretty fun. It was pretty fun. I will extend a welcome of those of you watching us on YouTube directly, or on Facebook, or on Twitter, or Periscope. Come on over to easternshorebroadcasting.com, where you can join in the chat, because we're not going to be monitoring the chat for the other places. And there's a great group. Looks like we've got about 36 or so in chat right now, so you could join in. And at least you can always lurk. You don't have to register with a name. You can always lurk, and that's okay too. But we're glad to have the folks that are here. Let's see who else has joined us. Looks like Andreas has. Is it Andres? Andres has joined us. And help me out with the names here. Paulo has joined us. Frank is here. Martin S. is here. Welcome, Martin. Martin, as you remember, locked me in a storage container several weeks ago for the show. Looking down the list. Paul Richards is here. Paul, we need to chat, my friend. We need to chat, my friend. I need cameras. Martin Stuckey's here. Welcome, Martin. Glad to have you. Oop, the list just reorganized itself again. I wish it wouldn't do that. Jens is here. Chris Watts is here. Who else? Who else is on the list? Did I say Tess? Tess is here. So we got some ladies here today, so you guys need to be nice for a change. We've got just another 3 minutes. Paulo is here from Portugal. Welcome. Glad to have you. What's the weather like in Portugal today? Anderson is here. Hey, Anderson. Glad to have you, my friend. Okay. Pastor Carl is working on a light bar for his setup. That's cool. You know who's close to me this past weekend and this coming weekend is Rick Ignacio. Remember, Rick was on the show a while back. He's the one that does the jet ski racing, and had his first jet ski race of the year this past weekend in Pensacola, Florida, and had over 130,000 viewers. Isn't that great? That is just awesome. Awesome, awesome. Amnon says his 20,000 lumen light is too bright. Well, I could have told you that before you even turned it on. Mike is here. Welcome, Mike. Glad to have you. Glad to have you. We're just getting warmed up here. We got just another minute, and we're going to get started. I tell you what, this is one of my treasures from the live show. Excuse me, from NAB. You probably can't make it out, but that's all the signatures of Martin Sinclair, Seth Haberman, Kimberly Sinclair, Tim Vandenberg, and of course Dan Sinclair autographed his picture right there, the banana. And by the way, if you want a vMix, I don't think it'll be autographed, but if you want a vMix mouse pad, send a note to I want a mouse pad at vmix.com and tell them what you like about vMix, and they'll send you a mouse pad. It's really cool. All right, let's see. Amnon is adding a dimmer. That's a great idea. Some LEDs will dim, some wouldn't. Can you get one of those mouse pads? Yes, you can. Just send an email to I want a mouse pad at vmix.com. No autograph from Tess? Well, Tess wasn't there. Tess is going to have to show up in person. We've heard rumors about the possibility of Tess coming to an upcoming event, but we're not sure, so I'm not going to announce it. Gerald's here. Welcome, Gerald. Who else has popped in? Because we're fixing to get started here. Let's see, looking over the list. Martin K. Welcome, Martin. Martin is the one that did the really cool Jaws of Death, of course, for my show, and did the NAB Jaws of Death just for the NAB show, Martin. Thank you so much for doing that. That was really fun to be able to have something custom like that to do at the show. If you guys haven't, especially if you're in Europe, Martin at Zen Video is the head honcho for Magewell in Europe. So you need to know him if you're interested in capture cards and devices, and has done all sorts of cool apps with Magewell and NDI. So it's Alex. All right, my buddy Alex. Alex is my young nephew. Alex is 16, I think, now, and lives in Boston. Welcome, Alex. Glad to have you. Finally got around to watching one of my streams. Okay. Well, don't tell your parents. Alex and his brother Liam and I went to the movies one time. We'll talk about that in another show, but that was a great event. And Alex just got back from Colorado, where he was doing some skiing. And Jerome's here. Welcome, Jerome. Glad to have you. And let's see, who else? Yep, that's it. I guess we better get going because it's 2:01. Now, I had an experience last week. Excuse me, I had an experience this morning where I started vMix, and again, all my shortcuts had disappeared. So I am not sure what the deal is. So I had to rebuild them. So we'll see if I got them rebuilt right. Then the nice thing about it is that it gives me plenty of practice with that. Lamont is here. Hello, Lamont. Lamont was a wow man at the NAB vMix meetup. We have pictures. So, and we're going to show them here. Lamont, if you want to send me a bribe by PayPal now, not to show all those pictures, now's the time to do it. Don't wait. Don't wait. Okay, let's see. Yeah, Paul Richards, he left just in the nick of time. He missed the wild party after he left. I guess everybody was waiting for Paul to leave. I'm not sure. Anyway, it was a great time. Let's get started with the show, but before I do want to invite all of you that are watching us on Facebook or Twitter or Periscope or directly on YouTube to come on over to easternshorebroadcasting.com, because that's where this chat is. When you hear me replying to people, that's who I'm replying to. And it's the same feed. It's the same feed, same show. In fact, it might even be a higher resolution than what you're getting on Twitter or Facebook or Periscope. So come on over to easternshorebroadcasting.com, click the little Watch Live tab on the menu bar, and you can get the chat and this, and you can pop out either one of them and move them around on your screen. But I think it perfects the Streaming Idiot experience to have the chat there too, because the folks in chat are a big part of the show. Okay, let's see if we can get this right. We're going to fade to black. We're going to start the recorder, and then we're going to come right back. And if we did it right, we'll just start the show. And if not, we'll probably do it again. So bear with me here. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Hello and welcome. I'm Tom Sinclair with Streaming Idiots, and I am so glad that you are here for our show today. This is the first show right after the National Association of Broadcasters convention last week in Las Vegas. I am still pumped over that show. You say, Tom, why are you pumped over that show? Well, I'll answer your question in just a second. But somebody's saying in the chat room it's buffering. Sorry about that. That happens with live streaming. Sometimes things just don't seem to work right sometimes. And sometimes it's not our fault. Sometimes it is, but sometimes it isn't. I had the pleasure and the honor and the privilege of representing vMix last week at the NAB show. So I was parked in the vMix booth all week. I think they let me out once or twice, and I got down to see the PI Engineering, that is the X Keys guys and gals. I got to see their booth, and then I popped in on PTZ Optics, but nobody was there. The booth was empty. It was early in the morning, so they were probably still, out doing their jogging and their working out, all the things that they do while they're out of town. So I didn't get to see a whole lot of the other stuff at NAB, but you've probably seen all of that stuff already from lots of different folks. But let me give you a couple of things that you didn't know, or that you might not know. Number one, and I didn't know this until I was all the way back in Alabama, but Streaming Media, the folks at Streaming Media Magazine, they do the Streaming Media conferences on the East Coast and on the West Coast. They also have a special online publication called Streaming Media Producer. Streaming Media named the best streaming stuff, I guess you would call it, the best of NAB 2017. And vMix 19 was one of the very few, like 3 items that they mentioned. So congratulations to the vMix guys for doing such a great product. It was the vMix call that they recognized. In fact, we've got a clip here from the floor of NAB. This is Sean Lamb, and let me bring Sean in, and he's not live, so this is just video. So let me go ahead and bring this video in and see if I can get it queued up and started. Hang on just a second. Let's see what we got here.
And the third is going to be vMix 19, And the feature that really stood out is vMix Call. And so vMix Call is the ability to bring in remote presenters into your live broadcast, connecting peer-to-peer, which is really challenging to do. In the past, people have used third-party applications, but that's been a pain point. If you're using like Skype or something like that, you have a serious challenge when it comes to audio, the mix minus, and that's when you know, in the past you've relied on professional audio engineers to make sure that you're not getting that echo, that audio feedback. Well, vMix has solved that with a lot of engineering, a lot of smarts, but they do the mix minus for you. So you're able to bring in remote viewers into their video switching application. It's a software application that uses any hardware encoding or hardware capture that's, I guess, certified by them, but the range is very wide. So congratulations to vMix, Best of NAB 2017 award winner from Streaming Media Producer. Back to you, Eric.
Thank you very much, Sean.
Well, there we go. There we go. So the guys at, vMix is finally beginning to get some traction there. One of the big announcements was that Wirecast had NDI. Well, guys, vMix had NDI a year ago. vMix was one of the very first folks to understand the value and the power of NDI and integrate it deeply into the software, not just to be able to receive NDI resources, but also to be able to share the resources in vMix over the NDI network. So, hooray, Bruce Richardson is saying in chat that at the NAB, there were 85 manufacturers that were connected to the NDI Central Network. It was kind of fun. Let's see, I think I've got a picture of it here. Let's see if we can find the picture. Well, golly gee. Hold on with me just a second. Oh, yeah, here it is. The last day of the conference, Martin was interviewed on the Teradek NAB live stream show. Teradek has been doing the NAB live stream show for 5 or 6 years. And Martin was on there for the last 4 years. vMix, I think maybe 5 years, vMix has been the software that they have used for the show. And in fact, I'm really proud to say that that this year, our live streaming gear PC, from Eastern Shore Broadcasting, right over here, was the one that Teradek used to do the entire NAB show. And in fact, one of our other live streaming gear PCs ran the 4K exhibit at the vMix booth. So it was a good show for vMix. It was a good show for live streaming gear from Eastern Shore Broadcasting. That was a ton of fun. Let's see what else. I showed you that picture. Let me just go through some of my slides. I didn't take many. This is not the typical NAB shot because there are only 4 people in the shot. Generally, by 9 or 10 o'clock, this aisle that you're looking down is absolutely packed with people, and you just can't get through. You just can't get through. And so this was before the doors opened, and I was walking in the morning, and it was very quiet. But as you can see, there's just lots of color, lots of different things there, different booths and things like that to see. And I don't want to get, well, I may get too far into these. Yeah, there we go. All right, here we go. Now we're getting into the good stuff. This is Dave and Martin on the floor of NAB in the vMix booth. And Dave actually went out and found a banana costume. Oh, my goodness. And wore it. Dave, you're wonderful. And wore it to the show and got all sorts of goodies as a result. He won a prize from me, thanks to Bruce Richardson at VideoLink Canada. Bruce gave me a set of video sunglasses to give away, and Dave was the recipient of those. And then Dave also got a free upgrade on his vMix license to the vMix Pro license. So congratulations to Dave. I guess if anybody's brave enough to wear a banana around, that's you're going to get something good as a result. This is the live streaming show, the Streaming Idiot show that we did last Wednesday. And Philomena came on the show. Philomena Liggins from England came on the show briefly. She was so gracious, and she won the contest at the vMix meetup at NAB the night before to be on the show. And she, bless her heart, she was very brave and came on the show and was very good. If you haven't seen that, you need to go back and at least see that interview, because she's been coming to NAB for decades and had a great recollection of some of those shows and the difference between them. This is the beginning of the incriminating photos right here. This is the vMix group. This is all the vMix guys. And let's see, I'm going to send that full screen here so that I can see kind of left to right. You've got Scott and Dave and Maggie and Howard and Tim and Paul and Tim and John and Scott and Melinda and Butch and Philomena and Eric, and then Dave and RJ down in the front. Behind RJ is me, and then Kenny and David and Mark and Tim and Lamont. And there were some other folks that were there that just, and Jim O'Keefe took the pictures. So many thanks to Jim. And in fact, Jim took the rest of the pictures too. If you were at NAB and part of this group, let me know and I'll send you a high-res version of this one. This is Scott Whitney. He is at his vMix desk in his studio. I think we've got some studio shots here at the very end. But it was great to be in a live studio for the meetup. There's Philomena and me. This is right after she won the she won the prize to be on the show the next day. There's Butch and Lamont enjoying a cold beverage in the I guess you would call it the green room of Scott's studio, even though it's not green. It's sort of the waiting area. And then Dave and Howard are standing in front of the blue room. On the left is actually a podcast studio, and of course you can see the green screen on the right in the green screen room, and that's Tim Liggins. Tim behind Dave there, and then Eric and Kenny, and I think that's Dave's wife in the front, and then you can see David and Howard and Tim in the background. Eric Pratt from U.S. Broadcast was giving away some virtual sets, and so we were talking about those. Now we've got Lamont and Scott and Dave in front of the booth there where Scott does all the work, and then you can see the green screen studio behind them with lots and lots and lots of lights. Mark and Kenny and RJ and Dave again. And then, of course, the inevitable Paul Richards cameo shot. And Scott and Tim. Scott's going to be one of the speakers, as is Tim, at StreamCon coming up next month. And then there's Scott, our host, and me and David on the right. And then this is the talk show part of Scott's studio, where he sets it up with mics and cameras and a nice backdrop there. And then this is the podcasting part of the studio. Notice the sound deadening on the walls and the boom arms for the mics. And then there's a teleprompter and some PTZ cams and some regular cams. And then the green screen area. And as you can imagine, everything was very well lit. And then that's Scott's control desk with multiple PCs and a giant mixer and a portable PC that I think he built himself. He's also the founder of the Las Vegas Video Network. It's Vegas Video Network, vegasvideonetwork.com, and on Facebook it's Vegas Video Network. So you might want to pop in and see what he's doing there. And then, oh yeah, this is post-show. This post-show that was after everything was said and done, and we were getting ready to pack up everything. In fact, I think we had just packed up. in the vMix booth, and we're getting ready to haul things to storage. Actually, it's kind of funny. A lot of the vMix hardware goes into storage after this show and stays in storage for a year until next year. So next year, I hope you will be able to make it to NAB and can come out with us for the vMix meetup again, which I hope we can do. Did someone say dum-dums? I don't have that on my keyboard anymore. Sorry about that. I do have a sound effect that goes dum-dum-dum, but I don't have it hooked up today. Anyway, so a big thank you to Scott Whitney for hosting the vMix meetup at NAB, and to Eric Pratt of US Broadcast for having the door prizes. And then it was just such a treat to meet you guys out there and have a chance to chat eyeball to eyeball. Really was a lot of fun. Really was a lot of fun. Now, if you missed NAB and you're feeling really bad, and you're saying, golly, I wish I had gone. I wish there was something coming up that I could go to because I'm so excited now about it. Well, yes, there is. There is StreamCon. And StreamCon is coming up next month, June 8th through 11th in Atlanta. Easy to get in and out of Atlanta. There's an airport within almost spitting distance of the hotel. Martin Sinclair will be there as a keynote speaker. You can go to streamcon.net and get the complete list of speakers, and actually the incomplete list of speakers is probably a better way to put it, because they are adding speakers and sponsors as we speak. 36 days away until StreamCon. It's going to be an exciting event, and I hope you can make it. So that's the ad for StreamCon. We had to get it in there. It's going to be a lot of fun. Like, NAB is just a huge show with tons and tons of people. StreamCon is going to be a much more intimate gathering where you can, just like NAB, have an opportunity to hang out and meet folks, but to go actually a little bit more to the next level, because there's going to be so much hands-on stuff. You'll be able to work with people. It's all going to be live streaming. So, everybody's going to kind of be working together on this. I think we're going to have 2 tracks of speakers, but there'll be lots of crossover. So it's going to be a great opportunity to come and deepen your knowledge in live streaming, get to touch things that you could only touch before if you bought them. For example, Jim Jacobs is going to have his OB trailer there with all his live gear for his football games and his racing. And that in and of itself will probably be worth the trip. Streamcon.net. I think we've missed the early registration, which ended this past weekend, but there's another kind of mid-range registration, so you'll want to check in and not be surprised when the registration bumps up to full registration. So you definitely want to see that. And that is going to be sponsored in part by vMix, and in part by Eastern Shore Broadcasting. That's me. So I'm delighted. And PTZ Optics is going to be sponsoring. X Keys is sponsoring. Sennheiser microphones will be sponsoring. And I apologize if I've missed somebody. I'll need to get a more specific list for next time. But I'll make sure that we cover that list in its entirety. Let's see. Looking at the list of things for me here. So we've talked about streaming media, naming vMix Best of Show, StreamCon.net, NAB vMix Meetup. Oh, yeah. There was one other thing at NAB. I did get away for just a few minutes. And when I did, I had an opportunity to get by the X Keys booth, the PI Engineering booth. And this is what I found. And I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to bring it in, but I'll probably cut the sound because it's just white noise.
Sure.
It's just mostly white noise. But as you can see, there's a little micro studio there. And this is the promo for the micro studio. And then they cut live to the studio. That's a live shot from that miniature studio with lower thirds. Of course, vMix is driving the whole thing. They've got 2 little teeny cams down there. You see the cam on the left and the right, and the two stages, the two sets, and the green screen's behind them. So that's a live shot, and that's, in fact, that's a live shot right there, as they've cropped it down just to bring in them. But if you missed that and you want to see that again, it's on our Facebook page, facebook.com/groups/streaming idiots. And by the way, if you want to join that group, you can do that too. We've hit over 500. I think it's like 540 some odd now. Oh, that reminds me. I want to give a shout out welcome to folks on that have joined the group. So let's bring that up. And I realized the other day that I was so bad at reading names. I thought I would just scroll through the list and let you see all the folks. These are folks that have joined Streaming Idiots Facebook group not since last week, but since the week before. So I see Galen Huddleston on there. I see Andrew Grant on there. Andrew and I are going to be getting together for some vMix training soon. Galen just bought vMix and a PTZ Optics camera from us here at Eastern Shore Broadcasting. I see Richard and Charles and Stuart on there, and Luke and Richard and Jobo, Andrew and Jackick and Tiago. I met Chuck Braverman at NAB. Rocky's there. Martin, Wesleyan, Christopher. Was a great group. Welcome and thank you all for joining the Facebook group for Streaming Idiots. I think you'll find it a really valuable resource. We've had some great discussions since NAB. I mean, there was a good discussion this morning about microphones and the Behringer UMC. I think it's the 1810, which is it's not a mixer, it's an audio interface. So it takes mics and it brings them in. The advantage of a device like that is in vMix, each one of those 18 microphones comes in on its own channel, so that vMix can control each one of those microphones independently and separately. The same thing for my Behringer UMC 404 here. I've got 4 mics in, and I can control each mic individually. Whereas with a mixer, at least most mixers, even if you're coming in USB, you're just coming in stereo. You're just coming in with whatever the mix is from the mixer. That's why mixers are called mixers. Of course, they're also called soundboards too. So I guess that could be a little misleading. Let's see, what else have we got going on here? Thank you for everybody that's joined the group, and by all means, keep coming out. We've had some great discussions in the Streaming Idiots group. And also, there's another group that if you're into live streaming, you want to investigate. It's called the World of Live Streaming, and that's Giles and Company, and they are on. They've got 150 folks in the group so far, and it's growing very quickly. So you want to take a look at the World of Live Streaming. They have a show at 3 o'clock Eastern on Mondays, and have also been doing a lot of testing. Dave and Martin and Jan and Giles and Rudy and Tommy, if I've left you off the list, I apologize, but they've been doing some testing with vMix Call, trying to help Martin work out some of the bugs. There was a bug in it that when you disconnected a call, when you closed out a call, it would freeze, it would lock up vMix, and it would become unresponsive for a period of time. And they also were able to help him uncover a bug to reduce some of the latency in the call. You know, if you've used the feature, that it had about a half a second of latency, and I was on a call with them on Monday, and the latency was down under, I mean, a half a second is 500 milliseconds. I'm not a math genius. I read it in a book somewhere. but they had the latency down under 100 milliseconds on the Monday. And Merle, sorry, I forgot Merle. I apologize, Merle. Yeah, Tommy and Martin are saying don't forget about Merle. Sorry about that, Merle. I did call you out at the NAB show last week, though, Merle. So you got called out when nobody else did. So, so by all means, I commend the World of Live Streaming Facebook group to you, and certainly our own group, Streaming Idiots. You can get a lot out of it, and we will be we ought to have a co-show. We ought to have a World of Live Streaming at Streaming Idiots show sometime and get everybody in on the call. That might be a lot of fun. But we will see about that. We'll see about that. Coming up, I'm looking over at my whiteboard here. Coming up in future shows, Scott Whitney is going to come on and talk a little bit about his studio there in Las Vegas and some of the unique concepts that he uses to monetize his studio. If you have been interested in how do I make live streaming pay, then you will want to watch that show. And I'll make sure that we publish a notice about it plenty in advance so that you can see that. Also, I'm going to have Scott Pienta on the show. Scott was at the vMix meetup and is coming out of Michigan. He'll be there at StreamCon to make a presentation also about monetizing. And so we hope to have him on this show before the StreamCon so that you can get a little taste of what you would miss if you didn't come. And also, I haven't told him yet, or haven't asked him yet, but I'm hoping to get Martin Sinclair on the show and just talk a little bit about the award from Streaming Media and all the other things that are going on with vMix behind the scenes. One of the things that came up, and this is the war story part of the of the show now, when we talk a little bit about some of the things that happened at NAB. One of the comments that I got frequently at NAB at the vMix booth was, "Why doesn't vMix do fill in the blank?" And some of the ideas were really good, and some of the ideas needed a little bit more polishing, shall we say. And you might be out there saying, you know what, I wish vMix could do XYZ. For example, here's a good example. Gerald Griffith, who is in the chat room right now, and Gerald and I are working together, putting together StreamCon. Gerald posted in the Streaming Idiots Facebook page, why doesn't vMix make the color tabs, and why doesn't it make the color tabs pop out? You know how you can pop out the audio mixer, and you can pop out the instant replay, and you can pop out the list in order to work with those differently. Why doesn't vMix also pop out that whole tab section where all the inputs are and allow you to put that on a separate monitor? I think that's a great idea. But you can tell me all you want to. You know, Gerald and I can get in the same room. We can pat each other on the back about how smart he is and how much I agree with him. But it doesn't do a hill of beans good. But what does do good is, and I should have had a link prepared for this, so you'll just have to figure it out. Y'all are smart folks. You can figure it out. Go to the vMix forum. It's forums, plural, forums.vmix.com, and go to the feature request section. And you can find this particular one that I'm talking about right now in the feature request section. But if you've got a good idea for vMix, go and post it there. Now, you may want to read through the feature request section because there are not too many new things under the sun these days. So your idea might already be one. For example, Ken is sharing in the chat room right now, why doesn't vMix make coffee? And I don't think, he might get some plus ones on that one in the feature request section. But at this point, he hasn't put it in the feature request section, so nobody can give it a plus one. When I was talking with Martin and Tim and Beverly, the vMix team at NAB, Seth and I were kind of the outsider insiders kind of folks. We were the hired guns, but Martin and Tim and Beverly are the brain trust for vMix. When we were talking about that, about vMix 20 in particular, Martin said very clearly, I'm looking at the feature request section. That's where I get my ideas. And just because I don't reply to one or you don't see it in the next version of vMix doesn't mean it's not important to me and that I'm not working on it. He said, for example, vMix Call, he's been working on that for 3 or 4 years. That was a suggestion that was made way back when, and he saw it. He agreed with it, of using the WebRTC technology as a way to place a call into vMix so that it came out as an icon not an icon, but an input on your desktop as if it were a camera attached to your PC. He said, that's a great idea. That's a great idea, but the technology wasn't ready yet. And he continued to monitor the technology until the point that it was ready. And boom, here came vMix Call, suddenly as if it had appeared overnight. But it was 3 or 4 years in the making. So my guess is that there's some ideas in the feature request section right now that he's considering for vMix 20. And if you've got something you'd like to see in vMix 20, it's great to share it in the chat room here. It's great to share it in the forums or other places around the net. But the place that's going to make the most difference is if you go to forums.vmix.com to the feature request section and put your feature request in there. Now, also, go ahead and read through the others that are in there and give them a +1. +1 means, hey, I agree. I think that's good. And Martin is counting up +1s. And when he gets to whatever the magic number is, he says, you know, this is obviously a feature that people want. I'm going to think strongly about putting it into vMix 20, 21, 22, whatever, and figuring out all the kinds of things that I have to do in order to do that, all the coding kinds of things that he has to do behind the scenes to make that work, and to be consistent with the legacy features in vMix, which go all the way back to the very beginning. So that's how you get in, and that's why I think that's why vMix won the NAB Best of Show from Streaming Media for vMix Call, because vMix, Martin, Tim, and Beverly listened to you in what you said you wanted in vMix. Now, there's always the danger that vMix gets so powerful that it becomes so complicated, and that's why it's so difficult to integrate sometimes features like this in a way that doesn't add 7 layers of complexity to it. So, anyway. This is an interesting post that caught my eye right here on the vMix forum. It's from somebody called Sinclair Jr. It says, if we use multiple vMix calls, where's the slot to drop the dimes, nickels, and quarters? Well, if you want to use multiple vMix calls, this is the way it works. vMix HD, the $350 package, will make 1 call. vMix 4K, the $700 package, will make 2 calls. vMix Pro, the $1,200 package, the top drawer package, the one with everything in it, the kitchen sink package, will do 8 calls for $1,200. Now compare that to a Skype machine, a Skype TX machine, say from QuickLink or from NewTek, and you're going to get 2 callers for $3,200. I think now the new Skype TC1 comes with a caller or 2 for what is it, 15 grand. So I think vMix is a pretty good deal. vMix is a pretty good deal. So if you're doing a lot of calling in, then you want to do that. Now, let's say you've got an idea for making vMix Call better. Should you put that in the feature request section? Absolutely. And other people will read it and probably agree if it indeed is an improvement that they think works well. For example, there is a whole statistics section to the call that tells you the frame rate and the frames lost and the resolution and the bit rate and the packets lost and all those kinds of things about the video in, the video out, the audio in, the audio out for each caller. And right now that's a little difficult to read because it's all this, this spreadsheet of information right there. It would be nice if maybe the columns were different colors, or maybe the rows were somehow grouped together so that you could highlight a row and then read down that row. Maybe the category titles could be done a different way. Anyway, there's some things like that, some tweaks like that could be done to make it better. But let's see. Somebody is asking, is there any competition for the Bird Dog NDI converter? And I think there is. I think there was one that was running kind of a Linux operating system there, and I don't know anything about it, but I'll try to find out by the next show. So we will we'll have some more information. Yeah, I actually held the Bird Dog TV device in my hand. They said it didn't work, it needed a firmware upgrade, but at least they had a prototype that was out there that they were showing. I'm not sure if they're shipping yet. What I'm talking about is a device from Bird Dog TV that takes any camera that has an SDI or HDMI output and turns it into a camera that's available on the network over NDI. So you can take an expensive camera that you already own, plug it up to this device, plug in a Ethernet cable, hook it up to your network, and now this camera is available on the network with nearly zero latency and great resolution. And somebody says in the chat room yet that the Bird Dog TV is shipping now. That's cool. That's great. That's good. NAB finally got them pushed forward. That's Scott Whitney from Podworks Studio in Las Vegas that made that comment. Scott, it's good to see you. Glad you could be here. Late, but that's okay. Better late than never. All right, folks, we're going to close up this show. We'll go into the post show. So if you're watching us live, hang around. We'll be there in post show. If you're watching us on YouTube after the fact, thanks for tuning in. We hope you'll subscribe to our YouTube channel so that you can get a notice. We hope you'll come over to our Facebook page and join Streaming Idiots so that you can be notified when you don't want to be notified. You just want to check the page every day because there are all sorts of great conversations going on about live streaming. Somebody's asking if they've heard about NDI Leash. Oh, never mind. NDI Leash, that's my invention. Remember we did that with the NDI compatible Jack Russell Terrier. Yes. So I'm going to keep my fingers crossed on the outro here that everything works right. But hey, I'm Tom Sinclair with Streaming Idiots. It's been my pleasure to bring this show to you today. Oh, by the way, I guess I need to do full disclosure. I should have done this at the very beginning. Eastern Shore Broadcasting is my company. We design and build custom streaming PCs for folks that are doing live streaming. We're a vMix reseller. We also resell PTZ optics, Magwell, X-Keys, all the kinds of stuff you need to get into streaming. So if you have a question about any of those, drop me a note, tom@easternshorebroadcasting.com. I'll be happy to chat with you about it. You can go to the page, go to the contact page. Our phone number's on there. You can call, and I'll talk to you. If you want some help designing a system that you're going to build, well, I'll give you a few tips and tricks as a courtesy, but if we need to go deeper than that, then we'll ask you to kind of join in to the paying part of the program. So it's been a treat having you with us today, and hope you'll join us next week on Streaming Idiots. Take care. Yay, it worked! Amazing. Amazing. And we are out. And I say we're out because what I mean is that I have I hit the button on my X keys here. Dan, thanks for the cool X keys. And told my remote PC over here to stop recording. And I can do that through a script in vMix that's invoked by a shortcut that comes from the X keys that Dan built. How about that? So let's see. Sinclair Jr. is causing all sorts of trouble there. Somebody needs to spank his hand right there. Thank you for watching today. If you're watching us on Facebook or Twitter or YouTube and wonder who in the world am I talking to, well, I'm talking to you. But if you'll come over to easternshorebroadcasting.com, right there, and click the Watch Live tab, you can see the chat and you can get in on the chat. So it was good. Paulo asked, is a PTZ optics connected via HDMI or SDI HD low latency? About 200 milliseconds. And vMix can match up the audio with the video on that. Andrew Grant. All right, Andrew Grant. Thank you very much. Thank you, sir. Let's see. Bird Dog is not shipping? Well, then I stand corrected. Sorry about that. It seemed like they were just absolutely positively about to ship. but I guess they're not yet. Gerald had to run. So long, Gerald. Andrew, Bruce, Andrew wants to know about your streaming glasses. Maybe we need to get you on the show here to talk about your streaming glasses when you get them. Yeah, we're still, Jens is saying to Paulo that we're waiting on Apple to support WebRTC. That's what we need to get iPhones and iPads to do the vMix call feature. And nobody is going to put the time and effort into developing a way of bringing bringing WebRTC into an Apple phone just to have Apple turn around a month later and do it themselves. It's going to be a dead end. So it's going to be a hurry up and wait situation, I think, right there. Let's see. Bruce says, can Video Link sponsor too? What is it you want to sponsor, Bruce? Do you want to sponsor StreamCon? Drop me a note and I'll put you in touch with Gerald on that one. Ken, I loved your comment. Why doesn't vMix make coffee? You know, that is the perfect comment, because everybody wants vMix to do everything. And it's like, why won't vMix make coffee and take out the trash? You know, we want it to do everything else too. Giles wants to do a Stream Fest on Monday. A Stream Fest, that sounds like fun. And Sinclair Jr. says, Sinclair ABC Wide World of Streaming, Major Crasses, Blunders, and Bloopers. Hey, you don't need that. You've already got that right here. Oh, my goodness. I'm just scrolling back through the comments to see if I missed some questions here. All right, Giles says, we're talking about doing Streamfest here in the UK, July 2017. Let me know if you're interested. Maybe that's what Bruce wanted to sponsor. It'll be a very hands-on event, very practical, fun, but informative. Let me know if you're interested. Giles, that's a great idea. I'll help sponsor that for sure. All right. Andrew says, Bruce, if I drive from MTL, is that Montreal, to buy gear, you'll have to throw in some of that famous honey. And Addison's here. Hey, Addison. Glad to have you, my friend. What about IBC in Amsterdam? Yes, IBC is definitely a good show. Ken said, did somebody say Dum Dums? Ken actually works for the company that manufactures the Dum Dum candy. Congratulations to Ken. In fact, I think they ought to be a sponsor of Streaming Idiots. Wouldn't that be perfect? I don't take sponsors, but that would be the one I would take. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. That is too many. Chris Watts says, how many of them are from Australia? Tim, if you're talking about the pictures of folks at the vMix gathering, Tim was the only one that was from Australia. Let's see if we can bring that up again here. I'm just rustling through the photographs. There we go. And Tim's kind of tucked in between Dan and Miranda. Yeah. Okay. Paul says, please send me the pic. Yeah. If you want that pic, send me an email. That's going to be the best way to do it. That way I can just reply to the email and attach the photo. And again, thanks to Jim O'Keefe for doing those. Seletsky is coming to us from Mexico. All right. Oh my God, this is from the wife. Oh my God, those women on the screen capture from vMix. No wonder girls get the wrong body image. Yeah, I think they just needed some models. I mean, you know, this is the guy image right here. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Okay, let's scroll down to the bottom and see what else I've missed here. Let's see. Jens says we do want vMix to do the dishes and the laundry. Martin S. has some great ideas for the glasses once they can be Wi-Fi connected or some sort of wireless connection. Sinclair Jr. says, how was leaving the Vegas airport, long or short waiting line? That was fine for me. I didn't go till Friday. So there was hardly, I mean, it was just a regular crowd on Friday. I bet the big crowd, left Thursday afternoon, Thursday evening. The new glasses are already Wi-Fi, says Bruce, and we can connect to vMix. Ooh, we need to try that. Jan says the new version of the streaming glasses will have tally lights on the inside. Yeah. Bruce says not yet. All right. But he's going to look. That's good. That's good. All right. Great comments. Great comments. It is so cool to have such a neat audience like you guys and gals. Really, it always amazes me the quality of the individuals that are willing to hang out with me. And it was constantly amazed at NAB that people would come by and say, Tom, I watch your show. I love your show. And I'm thinking, oh, you obviously didn't see the show where I did this, this, and this. But, I guess people don't worry. Okay, Bruce says Bird Dog is not shipping yet. End of the month. That would be May? Okay, all right. All right, when will vMix come out with a 3D version? I will predict never, because 3D was a great marketing campaign, but it's just not realistic. It's not. I mean, yeah, you could do it. I mean, is Paul still in the chat room? Paul Richards, but I know that the PTZ guys were thinking about, PTZ Optics guys were experimenting with a 3D camera, putting two PTZ camera guts together so that you got two different images and then figuring out a way to separate them out. And in fact, they had it at NAB last year, NAB 2016, and it was just a prototype. But I guess it just, like any other prototype, you got to say how many people are really going to buy it. All right, Martin has some crazy ideas to connect the glasses that Bruce has directly to vMix. All right, and Rudy's volunteering to bring some beer and chocolate to the Streamfest. Okay. Merle says, we're a pretty high-quality bunch, huh? Yeah. Martin S. is going to be skydiving with the glasses. That's good. The trick will be to get a Wi-Fi connection. Maybe we can get a point-to-point wireless transmitter and just point it at you as you're dropping down to Earth. Jan says, yeah, what month? What year? Yeah, exactly. Oh, Prashana remembers. Prashana remembers my 2017 prediction was that Facebook Live would be a bust. So obviously, any manufacturer that wants a product to succeed needs to make sure I know about it and that I say it's a bust. So he says he thinks 3D will make it. Actually, it's vMix is already doing the 360, that 360 camera, and it's really interesting technology where the camera itself takes the 360 picture and then it bends it into some sort of upside down U shape, and it broadcasts that, and then vMix unbends it and somehow broadcasts it to YouTube, and then YouTube makes it available as a 360 shot. That's going to be fun. All right, let's see. Tom, share next week that Walmart is blowing out the 60-inch Vizio 4K with HDR for $620. Wow. Next week. Is that, and you get a free Bird Dog TV to go with it? Keep an eye out on that. Jan wants to know how many people actually watch 3D movies. Rudy says, as long as you have to put those silly glasses on. No, not for me. Jerome wants to know what company in California, or is that Canada, has gigabit internet. Oh, Martin will strap a router to his back, so no problem. There you go. And a really long Ethernet cable. Welcome, Milton. We're glad to have you. Glad to have you. All right. Vizio 60-inch 4K HDR. 4 of those for a giant video wall. Oh, that would be that's a la R.J. Murdoch saying that. That's a great idea. I like that. I like that. I'd like to afford just one. Actually, that's what I want for across the way. I can put it right behind my camera. I can have all my inputs up there, and I can see all my inputs right in front of the camera so that I can constantly make eye contact with you guys instead of having to keep cutting down. Well, right now I'm reading the chat, so that's why. All right. So Bruce says he has the glasses now. They're just finishing the app. So there you go. That's cool. All right, Milton says, Tom, a long time ago I asked vMix for one mouse pad. This week I received it. Thanks, vMix, for the gift. Took so long to come to Brazil. I bet. You're lucky you got it, too. You know, a lot of people along the way that touched it probably wanted it. All right, Prashana says, good night, guys. It's time to go. Oh, yeah, it's like 3 o'clock in the morning for him. Prashana, thanks for watching. We're glad to have you. Kenny says, Tom, how do vendors secure their NAB booths at the end of the day? So much gear. That's a great question. Almost all the booths have closets or cabinets built into them that are lockable. And the vendors will contract with a booth building company to help them design the booth. And the booth building company will then, you know, put in everything they need. And some booths are you know, kind of modular. The vMix booth was real modular, so the base cabinet, you know, would be a generic kind of piece that would have locking doors on it. And I think they were 2, 4, 6, 7 sets of locking doors there where they could put, you know, all the hardwares lived the whole show. And then, you know, where we could put our backpacks and purses, not my purse, but the other guy's purses, in those during the day and secure them. But it was pretty ingenious. And some of the larger booths, you know, they had a whole room that was lockable. And some of the booths actually had second floors. It was pretty wild. Pretty wild. You know, it'd be interesting just to have a behind the scenes look at you know, how the booths, how companies negotiate to get their booth built. There are like 200 booth builders. And the booth builders will be, excuse me, I'm boring myself. The booth builders will come from all over the world, and they just, you know, hire labor when they get there to put the booths together. And in some cases, they might hire labor to build the booth. They might hire somebody else to build it for them. In fact, they may not ever touch it. Okay, let's see. Just purchased the JVC Full HD camcorder wireless and 250 frames per second. Wonder if vMix could capture the slow-mo wirelessly. I don't know that it will do more than 60 frames a second, but I don't know that anybody's got anything that would challenge it for more than 60 frames a second. Obviously, the hardware would be the big thing. The capture card. Still trying to get used to this time change. Holy cow. I was only 2 hours off, but it really threw me for a loop. It's going to take a week or more just to get back to normal. That's a good idea. I tell you what, Sinclair Jr., you send me one of those. I don't want to own it. I just send it to me and the appropriate capture card, and we'll test it here. All right, Zelensky's here from Mexico. Welcome. And Prashana's still here, and he says, it's late for me, and look who's yawning. That's right. Oh, that's great. Bruce says that Bird Dog, vMix, and Decimator are all from Australia. And you know who else is from Australia, Bruce, is Black Magic. Yes, indeed. Black Magic is an Australian-based company. All right, and Paulo is asking Milton if he needs help. There you go. All right. And Sinclair Jr. says JVC full HD Evero camcorder on eBay. Oh, goodness. Sorry about that. Gee whiz, how rude for me. And let's see what that thing says. It is $2,000. That's not too bad. 10x optical. Full HD. Yeah, I may not be looking at the right one. Anyway, still very interesting. Still very interesting. Bum, 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 bum. Martin thinks that Atomos is based there as well. All right. Sinclair Jr. says $500 for the camera on eBay. There you go. Just send it to me. Send it to me. I'll give you my address. All right. Andrew says, okay, we're post-show now. Can somebody please tell me what happened at the NAB party? The stream was pulled. Yeah, I pulled the stream, and I apologize to you guys, and I apologize to everybody who was there, because not everybody there knew that we were live streaming. And as a result, there were private conversations that were inadvertently recorded. And so I just as soon as I found out about this, I really felt like I had no choice but to pull it. But the party was great. The party was a lot of fun. There were, I guess, about 25 or 30 folks there. Most of them were in the picture. And we just talked. We just enjoyed our time. Scott showed us around the studio, the different parts of his studio. And he was a great host. He had shrimp and sandwiches and other kind of finger food, and then, beer and wine and sodas and water. I got kind of wild. I had 3 bottles of water. That Las Vegas, Nevada, dry heat will dry you out. I was dry as a bone by the time I got there. So I had 3 waters, and they were good. All right, let's see. All right. Paulo wants full floating windows, just like that other program. Well, feature request section, there you go. Inflatable elephants, glitter, and a horn. Okay. Okay, a Chinese PoE PTZ 4K camera coming out for under $1,000. There you go. That was cool. Lamont says the party was fun. There he is. Even though Bruce Richardson wasn't there, it was still a good party. All right, Bruce. We'll catch you later. Giles says firewater. No, it was good old aqua. Good old aqua. I learned a long time ago that I cannot take the personal liberty of having alcoholic beverages at a public event like that. I tried it probably 30 years ago, 35 years ago, and realized that, I was not myself the way I wanted to be. So I just don't drink at functions like that, unless it's a wedding. I'll make an exception there. But I wanted to enjoy every part of it. I didn't want to miss anything. So, web controller with T-bar. That's interesting. Yeah, that's a good thought. Seth Haberman, who was on the show a while back and who was with us out at NAB, has developed that control app for iPad and iPhone, and I think it's got a T-bar on it. There's a link to it in the vMix forum, which is forums.vmix.com, and under the third-party app section, and you can probably find out more about it there. Sinclair Jr. says, have lampshade will travel. I've never done the lampshade thing, but I could have. In fact, I might have. But that was a different day. Giles, do you agree Tom shouldn't drink? Yes. That's a good thing to agree to. I mean, in a public situation like that, I don't mind having a glass of wine or a beer, or a mixed drink now on occasion, but not on the job. That's right. Don't drink on duty. Yeah. All right. Anderson says, yes, it does. I bought it. Oh, you're talking about the Seth's app, Anderson. Is that what you're talking about? Anderson said 4 is greater than 99. Well, there you go. I don't think that's true, though. 4 is less than 99. All right, Paula says, I asked Seth for porting it to Linux GNOME. I have an an all-in-one HP Touch 22-inch. Gotcha. Merle says only T for me. Yeah, there you go. And Anderson wants Seth to do a PC version. Yeah, Seth's talked about that, but apparently it's a pretty steep hill to climb. Oh, here's some interesting stuff. Kenny says that through May 13th, the Sportscast guys are offering 10% NAB special discount on all their gear. And I actually bumped into Mike Cannell briefly at the vMix booth on, I think it was Thursday of last week. Really nice guy. Really nice guy. Enjoyed hanging out with him and really appreciate him. He came on the show on the 19th of April. So if you're interested in, Sportscast is a device, or they make a device that will plug into the scoring system at a sports venue and make the scoring data available to programs like vMix. Then you can then plug the appropriate data into your scorebug. So if it's, you know, the home team score and the visiting team score, or the time clock, or the 20-second clock, or whatever it is, if all that data is available on the scoring system, they can port it into your software, into vMix. Sportscast.us, and it's sports with a Z, says Kenny, SPORTZCAST.us. Nice, good folks. Oh, Anderson bought it for $4.99, not 4 is greater than 99. There we go. That's a pretty good deal. Mark Ness says, not another word, honest. Apparently that's some sort of story behind the scenes. Yeah. It was an eye party, that's what it was. Anderson says, Seth is a great guy and he has a story that he wants to tell all of us in private. Okay. Well, I can understand that. All right. If you're watching us if you popped in on YouTube or Periscope or Twitter and you wonder who in the world am I talking to, over at easternshorebroadcasting.com is this same live feed, and there's also the chat room that we're paying attention to. The chat in Facebook and Periscope. Periscope we're not monitoring. We'll catch those comments later. And then I think we've disabled the one on YouTube. So come on over to Eastern Shore Broadcasting and join in the post-show chat with everybody. Jim OK from California is guest 475. Welcome. Glad to have you. And Zoran is here. All right. He's doing an international media conference focusing on mobile journalism, mobile content creation, mobile photography, and new technology all in one event. Great. Where is that going to be? Zoran, can you share with us the location of that event? And will any of it be streamed live? That might be interesting information too. I see that Chuck has joined us. Chuck, I missed you slipping in later. It's too late now, but next time you slip in late like that, you're going to have to bring refreshments for the whole crowd. They seem to think that mixed nuts are somehow appropriate. And Banana is here. I see Peter H. has slipped in. Henry has slipped in. Ray is here. Ovinas is here. Guest 119 is here. And Richard Sparks is here. I think I've mentioned Richard before. Guest 475. That's good. All right. Cool. Glad you guys are here. The conference is in Ireland. So that's cool. Wow. Are you going to be live streaming it? That would be really cool. And can I understand Irish? Probably not. Ray is here. He got here as soon as he could. 475 says, have you shown the pics from the meetup in Las Vegas? Yes, I have. You want to see them again? Sure, let's see them again. Let's go to the group shot. That's everybody in the group. Well, that's actually not everybody. The photographer Jim O'Keefe is not in the group. And then there's several other folks that I know were there, but I just don't recall who they were that are not in the group. And then that's Scott at his, Scott Whitney, our host. It was his studio, and there he is at the control desk. And that's Philomena and me. This was right after her name was drawn out of the hat to be on the Streaming Idiot show the next day. And then Bruce and Lamont hanging out together in the green room, which is not green. And Dave and Howard hanging out together. You can see the podcasting studio on the blue one on the left and the green studio on the right. And then Eric and Kenny, and I think, I'm not sure whose wife that is. And then Lamont and Scott and Dave and Mark and Kenny and RJ and Dave. Dave gets in a lot of shots. And Paul and Scott and Tim and Scott and Tom and David. And then this is Scott's studio. This is the talk show section. This is the podcasting section. There's some of the cameras and the teleprompter. And then the green screen room. And another pic of his control surface. In fact, you can see right there below the mixer, you can see a Behringer. Looks like a UMC 404 HD that he's using in addition to the mixer. How about that? And then Scott's Las Vegas Video Network. And then, oh yeah, that's not, that is post NAB, so that's different. Oh my goodness. All right, May 4th through the 6th, says Zora on this conference. Andrew says, any word out there regarding PTZ Optics NDI compatible camera? Andrew, there was nobody that claimed to have an NDI compatible camera. Very interesting. It was notably absent, I thought. Maybe the technology's too tough. Maybe it's too, people think it's like I think 3D is. It's just something that's not here to last. Don't know. Richard Sparks says that the Walmart Vizio is probably a no IR remote Android phone or tablet controlled version. Well, that'd be cool. Paulo says DaVinci Resolve 14 is becoming a great all-in-one tool for post for free. Banana says that was Kenny's wife, Linda. Okay, there you go. Thank you, Banana. Would Banana be Dave? Would Banana be somebody else? Let's see. Can I check IP addresses on these people? I don't think I can. Oh well. Oh well, that's all right. That's all right. The wife says, I'm going to leave you. Now you all can all let loose and be yourselves. Stop sucking in those stomachs. Is that what they were doing in the picture? That's hilarious. Oh, that's too funny. Too funny. She knows guys too well. Knows guys too well. Well, Jan and the wife, you guys need to plan a trip to the U.S. You really do. You need to plan a trip to the U.S. Gadget Guru TT says, what box was he using? He was using a vMix box that I understand he built himself. Yeah, he wasn't actually at NAB, but he was. Well, I think he came to the conference, but the studio he was in was his studio. Paulo says visit Portugal one of these days. Ah, I'd love to. I'd love to. Ray wants to know, how far can you run a USB 3 cable from a PTZ camera? Well, Ray, I don't run very far at all, so for me, 5, maybe 10 yards. No, but seriously, with a USB extender cable, one of those cables that's got the amplifier or whatever it is built into it, I think you can go pretty good ways. And you can also convert over and extend out. Oh, that's not just control. That would be video. I don't know how it would do over distance on a control cable. That's a question for Paul Richards. I don't know that Paul is still here. Paul is actually with PTZ Optics and frequents this show, but I don't see him on the list right now. So I guess he's left. Jan says they will as soon as the calendar allows. That's great. And Paulo says he was in Mobile in 2000. That's the city that's right across the bay from me. We're on the eastern shore. You get it? Eastern shore of Mobile Bay. Thank you. Ray says, oh no, Giles says not all that far with USB 3, not even with the active repeater cables he's tried. Thank you, Ray. Thank you, Giles. And Ken needs more info. And different people are going to have different experiences. Giles has given a pretty definitive answer, and I like definitive answers, but somebody else may have tried something slightly different and was successful. So this is one of these cases where no means not in my experience. It doesn't necessarily mean a universal no. It just means, I've tried that and it didn't work for me. Your mileage may vary. And the more experience I think you have in this live streaming world, and probably it's true with any subject, frankly, but something that's continuing to emerge like live streaming, the more experience you get, the more you realize, I used to be real absolute and I used to see black and white. Now I'm seeing a lot of gray. And that's where I am. I'm seeing a lot of gray. Things that, yeah, they'll work, then they might not, then they might. And Giles is saying, that's right, didn't work for me, might work for you. Said I went offline there for a second. Sorry about that. Paulo says, strange, so much latency even on SDI outputs with PTZ optics. Oh, I think the SDI is pretty quick. It's the IP that has the 200 millisecond latency. I think, I don't know about USB, but SDI and HDMI I think are spot on. Ken says, when someone says PTZ cameras, I don't automatically think PTZ optics cameras. Oh, Ken, good point. Good point. I'm scrolling back to see exactly what was said. And Ray says, how far can you run a USB 3 cable from PTZ cameras? But okay, but now he says, I did mean PTZ optics. And I'll tell you, Ray, just between you and me and the lamppost, that the PTZ optics guys, well, they haven't said it to me directly, but my understanding is the USB cams, excuse me just a second, yawning and sneezing. The USB 3 is not as, what am I saying? It doesn't work as well, maybe. Maybe it's not, it doesn't have the longevity. There seemed to be a little bit of heartburn. Thank you, Giles. A little bit of heartburn on the PTZ Optics USB 3 camera. I've never sold one. If anybody wanted to buy one, I would do my best to talk them into something that was more standard in broadcast. My guess is that they were created to use in conference rooms, so that any computer can connect via USB 3. You don't need to get a capture card, and you don't have the latency, the half of 200 millisecond latency that you would if you did IP capture. So I think it was a way to put the camera into a certain type of industry, but not our industry. Just my opinion. Just my opinion. Yeah, the USB 3 bus, I'm going to go out on a limb here, but I don't think the USB 3 bus is a professional. I don't think that's what a professional would use to capture video unless that was his only choice. Yeah. For example, with a laptop, you've got USB 3 ports, and you can get that great Magewell dongle that'll plug in and get you, uncompressed 1080p HDMI or SDI video, and that's over USB 3. But for the folks that are doing multi-camera, I don't know how many folks that have purchased our Bolt 4, which is the Thunderbolt connection. Thunderbolt being not on par with USB in terms of the physical connection. That is, it's just kind of a friction connection. It's not like SDI where it clamps on there. But beyond that, the ability to have 4 cameras input that now comes over the PCIe bus essentially inside the laptop, as opposed to over the USB 3 bus. So there's that. All right, Paulo suggests this is the Minray brand of cabling. Kenny says Tom is correct. I think USB should work fine for a small room, but probably not broadcast as well. Yep. And Jan says USB was never intended for long distances or business critical applications. All right, guest 707 says France is in the house. Hello to everyone. Welcome. Glad to have you. And DWAM is still here, and I believe he hails from France as well. Giles says, I find USB 3 is fine if the device is very local to the PC host. It works fine. Then once you try to start extending cables, it gets flaky, F-L-A-K-E-Y, flaky, very quickly. Giles is like, how do you spell flaky? I don't even use the word. Ray says, so you wouldn't recommend using USB 3 PTZ optics with a powerful laptop for production? No. Here's the deal with USB, and let's peel I'm going to recline my chair for just a second. There we go. Oh, that's so much better. Let's peel back the curtain, and Jan, tell me if I step out of bounds. Peel back the curtain and look at USB. USB 3, a USB 3 port might be one of 2 or even 3 USB 3 ports controlled by a USB 3 controller. And the general rule of thumb is 1 camera per controller, not 1 camera per port, for high definition for sure, and USB 2 for standard definition for sure. So there's kind of a built-in booby trap there of thinking, hey, I've got 3 USB 3 ports. I'll plug 1 USB 3 camera into each one. And, then, why does only 1 camera work? Or maybe 1 camera works all the time and the other camera works some of the time and the third camera doesn't work at all. And that's because of the limitation of the USB 3 bus. And this is not a bus that's leaving the station. This is the pathway. So you need to do some investigation into your laptop to see how many USB 3 controllers there are. And I've heard rumors, I don't know of anybody, but I've heard rumors that people have used USB 3 hubs and been able to share more than one camera. Not sure if that's the case. Giles says, I can't spell C-A-N-T. Apparently he can't do punctuation either. This is absolutely the key, Thomas. All right, Jan says that USB 3 controllers can, in theory, handle 128 devices ports on the same bus. Yes, like a mouse or a keyboard or a, something else. But I learned early on that you can't plug two Logitech C920s into the same USB 2 port. I mean, into two USB 2 ports that are on the same controller. One camera will work and one camera won't. Very, very easy to figure that out. So, there's devices and then there's devices. And I don't think a camera counts the same as a mouse would when we're talking about devices. All right, Gadget Guru TT says, is that even for 3 USB 3 Magewell dongles from SDI USB 3? Again, I think the key is not the dongle. The key is the laptop or desktop. How many USB 3 controllers does it have? Giles says, this is the station that is leaving the bus. Okay. Andrew says, how does the Mevo multi-camera solution fit into this conversation of distance and streaming prosumer? Sorry, I'm an idiot. I join you in the idiot category on that one. I don't know what a Mevo is. Is that the little camera that streams to live stream? Does a wireless camera does wireless 4K and streams to live stream? I don't know. All right, Yana says, correct, Tom. I love it. Thank you, Jan. Bandwidth quickly runs out when using devices with high data rates, such as storage, i.e. remote hard drives, or video. Gadget Guru TT says, great, thanks, Tom. I was considering a 3-port laptop to keep costs down. Thank you again. Well, check and see how many, find somebody that knows. Go to the manufacturer and see how many USB 3 controllers are in that particular laptop. Paula says, imagine a PTC NDI camera HD or even 4K. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. A lot of people are imagining it. Nobody's building it. Giles says, I've managed 2 1080p cameras on one USB 3.0 port. USB-C 3.1 changes that again. You might get 2 to 3 cameras on one port for that, untested. Andrew Grant says, that's the one. M1 Sports says, Mevo is from Livestream. That's right. And at this point, Mevo has not opened up to stream, their ability to stream to third party like vMix or Wirecast or something like that. They will stream to Livestream. And Kenny H says they will start to stream to YouTube. Okay. And and others in a month or so. I think you were locked into Facebook or Livestream, but no more. This info from the Mevo NAB rep. Yeah, I think they'll stream directly to the CDN, but I don't think they'll stream to a switcher where you can control the cameras and add lower thirds and record and do all that. I think they're trying to keep that just a live stream only, but I could be wrong. Maybe they're getting some pressure to open it up. The Mevo camera is a cool looking little camera. I mean, don't be fooled by the fact that it says it's 4K, because you can have 4K and there's 4K and then there's 4K. I mean, I can bake you an apple pie. It doesn't mean it's going to be your favorite apple pie. You know what I'm saying? So 4K is kind of like apple pie. That's right. There'll be all different kinds of apple pies. All different kinds of 4Ks. Yep, yep. Well, guys, I've really enjoyed this show, and I have got a client waiting on me to call him back. So I'm going to go do that, but I appreciate you guys hanging out with me. If you need to reach me, holler to me, Tom at easternshorebroadcasting.com. Would be happy to reply. And you can go to the website and get my phone number too. You can also see all the other cool stuff that we've got. Other than that, I am going to say sayonara, so long for today, and I will leave you with one kind of parting glance. That's how you do NAB. You let Dan do all the hard work. How about that? All right. Well, I will catch you guys later. Thanks so much. And I'll let the stream run out for just a minute, but because you may have buffered a little bit. Let's see. Cut to close ought to do it.